Have you ever dreamed of winning millions? I did. And then I got the chance to compete in the Beast Games. It was brutal. I pushed myself harder than I ever thought possible. Did I win? You'll have to watch to find out. This experience changed me forever. Let me share what happened. Let's first talk about how I even got into the Beast Games. My situation is a bit different than most contestants. I've actually been applied to be in a video back in 2019. I saw the application go live in May and was gonna apply and actually forgot. Then I got an email a week later from the team saying that they've known I've been trying to be in a video for the past few years, and they told me they wanted me to participate in the Beast Games. I just had to fill out an application and submit a video, but I was already a guaranteed lock, so I didn't have to put much effort into my application. Let me know in the comments if you want to see my video submission. Arriving to Vegas was a bit hectic. My Uber link wasn't working, so I hopped in with another contestant. I got to the hotel and it took 4 hours to check in, and the most craziest thing happened. Apparently a contestant ran up $2,000 worth of room service on Jimmy's card and apparently was eliminated from the game. There was also a group of 10 other contestants that went to the club after they were told they weren't allowed to leave. We had this blue NFC wristbands that they gave us, so they know our location, but why would you even do something this stupid? We're here complaining for $5 million and you just want to go out to the club. Makes zero sense. For day one, it's finally the day that I've been waiting for. This is the beginning of my journey to win $5 million. I was so locked and ready for anything, but first we had to check out and get to the stadium, which took about 4 hours. Call time was at 2 and we didn't get to the stadium until 6. They brought us 500 at a time, which you would expect to take a long time. We finally get to the stadium and we're now thinking it's gonna start soon. No, we were very wrong. We had to wait another 6 hours. It's now 12:30 and we finally get to the floor of the stadium. We walk out the tunnel and there's Jimmy standing on this massive podium and everybody is hyped and ready to get started. They first had us line up in front of these boulders, but at this point it was covered, so we didn't know what it was, but we knew we had to pull something. We also noticed that there was 5 of them while we were grouped in 4s, so we knew we had to break 100 off from each group, and no one wanted to leave because everyone knew that that team would be weaker than the rest. They had us line up and told us they were going to hand out pennies to the first 400 people online, and if you didn't receive one, you would end up on the red team. When they started handing them out, I hear a wrangler say, "Come get a penny," and panic broke out. I was near the front, so I ran straight to the wrangler, and this dude next to him saw me and threw one at me. Right after, I got slammed from the back and it was chaos. People did not want to end up on the red team, so there was so much panic that set in. I was just glad I got my yellow penny. Once everything was sorted, it was time for safety checks, and while we waited, there was a lot of strategy talk. And what our team ultimately decided on what almost lost us the very first challenge. They wanted to use a pull, breathe, pull method, and once we started, I immediately realized it wasn't working as other teams' boulders were flying. I turned around and screamed, "Run!" as loud as I could, and we barely made it out with the red team quitting midway through. Right there, I realized I could go home at any moment. And that was the end of our very first challenge at the Beast Games. By the way, we didn't get sorted to sleep until 6 a.m. For day 2, I woke up at 10 a.m. I only got about 3 hours of sleep. It was hard to sleep because the stadium has an open ceiling and there was lights coming through. Also, it's pretty uncomfortable sleeping on the floor of olive pits, and everyone also started to wake up and it was pretty much impossible to go back to sleep because of all the noise. Then all the drama went down. Each team had its own meeting preparing for the second game. Each team was making alliances with other teams to try and take out the other teams. It was a whole mess. I was too tired to even care, so I just laid around for a few hours chilling with my squad. Fast forward, and then now we filmed the transition from Challenge 1 and when Jimmy announced the second game involving briefcases. Everyone started to lose their minds because no one thought we would have to deal with the safe, not safe game this early. Some people were starting to cry while others were mentally preparing themselves to potentially lie to their new friends. This had me shook because I didn't know this would show up this early, and I broke off from my group to mentally prepare myself. It took them about an hour to set up all the briefcases. Once it was finished, Jimmy revealed what the game was, and you could feel all the tension dissolve since no one would have to try and lie to move on. Racing for green briefcases was a lot easier on the mental, but the process for each team took about 45 minutes, and after the second round, they had us take a dinner break. Mind you, it's 2 a.m. in the morning, in the middle of a challenge. My team went last, and none of us wanted to eat. We were all so wired and adrenaline was pumping because no one wanted to go home. It finally got to our turn to play, and Jimmy throws a twist at us. They weren't going to shuffle the briefcases, and we had to memorize what the last team's cases were, which was a whole 45 minutes ago. And for me, I was in the bathroom when they showed the map for the green team, so I was mega screwed. Everyone on our team complained that it wasn't fair that we couldn't see the map, and Jimmy finally caved and popped it on the screen for like 5 seconds. I was lucky to have a green case in front of where I was standing, so I told everyone around me not to go for my case since I was the tallest and had the longest reach. He blew the horn and I jumped on my case, and this girl next to me tried to take my case and knock the podium over. Before it fell, I grabbed the case, locking my place. At this point, I'm feeling very confident since I was 100% sure it was green. I even had a few cameramen following me and interviewing me, which didn't make the cut. After they revealed the results, of course, my case was safe and I popped off. Found the homies and we all made it to the next game. Yellow celebrated with a liquid death mosh pit. And we went back to sleep at 7 a.m. again. This is it. This is the final day. The last day I have to compete to move on as a top 1,000 contestants for the Beast Games on Amazon. We started the day off by being woken up by the Wrangler at 10 a.m. I was sleeping like a baby, but they needed us up, so now I'm literally running on fumes. But I knew I had one objective. I needed to survive the day to move on to Amazon to compete for the 5 million. That was enough motivation for me to push through all the sleep deprivation. There wasn't much drama this morning, thankfully. Only a bunch of speculation of what the next challenge was going to be. And this time, we were actually right. If you could get up on the stands and you could see there was about 1,100 flags being hidden. And I was able to see them since I was allowed to go on the stands because I had religious things I had to take care of. So they had me moving around the arena. We figured it was a game where only 1,100 of 1,400 people will move on. Fast forward, and it gets revealed we had to race to capture a flag to advance. I was chilling because I'm an athlete. This is going to be light work. My group had a plan to just let people eliminate themselves, racing for flags, and we could get a flag without doing anything. But that plan quickly fell apart after 200 flags went and only 20 people were eliminated. So the plan was to pair up and spread out and get with the group that's coordinating flags at around 500 flags. So me and the homie Justin went and helped people coordinate to get a flag. We helped around 100 people or so, then it got to 700, and I was like, alright, we helped enough. Me and the bro, we gonna get our flag. I saw flag 722 way in the back, and I knew I could get there, even if someone tried to steal it. Horn blows, and I take off. While running, I look to my left, and I look to my right, and there is no one around, so I slow down into a jog and grab my flag. Light work. Easy. I knew I did not need to trip. After the challenge is done, we go and grab some dinner, and it's like 10 p.m. Super early. All the other challenges went to 3 a.m. Now they had us split up into even odds and put us up in the stands. And this is where we had to wait about 4 hours as they moved around all the platforms. And it was clear that this was going to be a last to leave challenge. And thankfully for me, my group had already coordinated a plan with other groups, and we had a solid 75 people that we knew wouldn't jump for $1 million. The only problem was finding the other 25 that we could trust. We had to split into groups of 10, then from that form a group of 100. I was confident on our 75 people that we had lined up. Only the last 25 I was a little shaky on. So we came up with a plan. We would have our solid group of people sit on the edges of the platform, preventing any people that we do not know from jumping and getting us all eliminated. The challenge started, and we was on the platform for about 45 minutes before Jimmy brought up the bribes. And what we did was tell everyone on our platform that it wasn't who touched the floor that got the money, that you had to run and touch the money to dissuade people from jumping. Thankfully, it didn't get to that million, and we did not have to gamble on the people we did not know. And with that, I moved on as the top 1,000 to compete on the show for $5 million. After my time at Vegas was complete, we went to film in Toronto, Canada for the entire series 3 weeks afterwards. When I got to Toronto, we had a few days to just chill before we started the games. And let me tell you, we were chilling. And then the chaos unfolded right as we got ready for the day. Transporting 1,000 people would be easier than 2,000, you would think. But not necessarily, since we were in a whole different country and the place we were filming at was about a 45-minute drive. After everyone got sorted, it was about 7 p.m. when we started to film the first challenge, which wasn't really a challenge. It was just Jimmy giving everyone the opportunity to leave the challenge with some money if they didn't think they had what it took to make it to the end. And 45 people took the bribe, and I got to move on for free. We finished filming and loaded the bus back to the hotel around 10 p.m. This was already better because we weren't filming past midnight. Bad part was that we were only able to do one challenge per day since transportation and feeding everyone took the majority of the time. Next day we go back, and again it takes us hours to get transported and fed. And apparently before I got to the place of filming, there was a technical issue where the next challenge popped up on the screen for a few seconds as an accident. And my friend just happened to be there to see it. So when I got there, there was already a frenzy going on where people are trying to find anyone who would self-sacrifice for the rest of the team to move on. And in my row, there wasn't anyone who wanted to do it. So I thought this might be the end for me. The challenge started and we were given 1 whole hour to decide. But right away, the 2 rows to the left of me went green, and the row next to me went green a few seconds afterwards. At this point, I'm freaked out. No way I'm going home like this. We had no time to even discuss with our row, since the other rows discussed prior and they had made their choices. I then see another row 3 to the left of me go green, and I can't believe this. I'm going home like this. Then, out of nowhere, my platform goes green and I pop off. But I have no idea who sacrificed themselves. I get interviewed and I'm so jarred the entire time. After the interview ends, I hear someone say Maya sacrificed herself. And I'm thinking to myself, that's not my homegirl Maya. There's gotta be a different girl named Maya in my row. After they told us we could move around, I go and see if it's true. And I see Maya. The homegirl Maya, she was the one who clicked the button. I asked her why she did it. And she goes, I did it because I wanted you to move on. I didn't want both of us to go home, so I'd rather have you move on. This hit me so damn hard. Someone sacrificed their chance of winning $5 million for me. I just couldn't believe it. It had me mentally messed up because I never thought anyone would do something like that for me. After that, I knew I couldn't blow it. I had to do what I had to do to make sure I moved on. After this, we went back to our hotels and I was still shook after what had happened. Now, it's day 3, and mind you, this is all for the same episode. I get to the site, and there's these colored boxes attached to our platforms with a skinny red rectangle sitting on our platform. I met with my group, and they tell me we had to stack these blocks probably on the red rectangle, and we each have a dodgeball. So we're gonna have to build a tower and play dodgeball, and we were right on the money. We just didn't know how many blocks we had to stack. Jimmy told us we had 15 blocks to stack on a rectangle facing vertical, and if over 100 towers didn't fall, we would play dodgeball and knock over towers until it got 100 knocked over. And let me tell you, when it started, it was so quiet. You could hear a pin drop. I'm not even exaggerating. It was so quiet and so tense in that room. I'm building my blocks and I'm liking it. But when I got over halfway through it, I didn't really like it, so I took it apart. I started to rebuild, and I'm making sure it's all straight, making sure it's stable before I go grab a new piece. I'm halfway done, and for some stupid reason, I turn around without making sure it's stable. And by the time I turn around, I see it tipping over. I go and I try to grab it all, but one piece falls out, and I reach to grab it and I barely miss it, and it falls on the ground and my platform goes red. I'm out. I lost my chance at $5 million. Just like that. I lose my mind. I'm about to crash out, but I calm myself down by squeezing the hell out of my block in my hand, damn near ripping it apart. That's it. It's over. I didn't even make it out of episode 1. I couldn't stack blocks properly. A 3-year-old could do a better job than me. Maya sacrificed herself just for me to lose in the very next round. I was in shock. I was so mad at myself. Then they had me get ready for the drop, and I was dropped. And once I got out of the platform, it felt like a walk of shame in this long ass hallway. My homie Justin, the bro that got the flag with me, also dropped his tower, and we just walk out together sobbing. Couldn't believe we lost to such a simple game. And with that was my experience at the Beast Games. It's not the outcome I had hoped for, but the amazing people I met and all the memories I made with them was a once-in-a-lifetime experience. I wouldn't trade it for anything in the world. I'm glad I was able to have this experience.